There is a principle called Wu, means none, or not, no, negation. This way has a combination of meanings. It can mean action making, but the best translation I have found for it is forcing. In the other side way is the principle of not forcing in anything. We know when we watch any performance of an artist such a dancer or actor or a musician. We know immediately when the performance is forced. And we say it doesn't ring true, it's too artificial. It doesn't seem to be natural. Many people who study the Taoist doctrines think that Wei means do nothing. In the sense of laissez-faire, be lazy. Always be passive. It doesn't mean that there is a time for action. When you study judo, you use muscle only at the right moment when your opponent is hopelessly overextended and off balance, and you add a little muscle to it, and you throw him across the room. But only then. You never use muscle at the wrong moment. Shakespeare knew perfectly well there is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at its flood leads on to fortune. And so Wu Wei is based on knowledge of the tide, the drift of things get with it. Wu Wei is the art of sailing rather than the art of rowing. So one of the most famous sayings of Lao in the Laozi book is, superior virtue has no intention to be virtuous, and thus is virtually inferior virtue cannot let go of virtuosity, and thus is not good. So one could also say the real Wu Wei is not intentionally, and so is Wu Wei but inferior. Will Wei so tries to be Wu Wei that it isn't. In other words, this is not a matter of cultivated passivity, or even of cultivated spontaneity, because there are people who think that they are released, that they have realized that they are the Tao as all of us. In fact, you are to put it into Vedanta terms, every one of us is the Brahman, the eternal self of the universe, beyond all description or classification or thought, and say, okay baby, I'm that, now I'm gonna have a ball. Well, what kind of a ball do they have? Well, what they do is they look up the rules on which society runs and do the matter of cultivated passivity or even of cultivated spontaneity, because there are people who think that they are released, music, that they have realized that they are the Tao as all of us in fact are, or that you are to put it into Vedanta terms, every one of us is the Brahman, the eternal self of the universe, beyond all description or classification or thought, and say, okay baby, I'm the, now I'm gonna have a ball. Well, what kind of a ball do they have? Well, what they do is they look up the rules on which society runs and do the imagine appears to be nothing is the foundation of the universe, but you have to become again as a child to see that. Or Europe, go back to your childhood. What were the fascinating things? What's out there? What's beyond the stars? How long does it go on? And mama said it goes on always and always and always. The child wonders, it's excited that this is something that never ends. Then the child asked about time, how long ago is long ago? Well, the Bible says that in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, but what did God do before he did that? Well, as one person said, he sat up thinking punishments in hell for people who asked silly questions. Music, that is only a joke, and that a child thinks of God going back and back and back forever, never beginning. So in the same way you think about death, go to sleep and never wake up, never. Why, it would be as if you never had existed, not only you but everything else, which is of course the way things were before you were born. You know about how about waking up after having never gone to sleep? That's quite a thought and something fishy about it. Also, we get a funny feeling when we think those questions really through, very funny feeling. And children, you see, love to get into that funny feeling. Children know all kinds of weird things. They like to spin around as fast as possible, so they watch the suddenly there all the ground goes tilting into this thing with their eyes and make faces and test out their bodies in all sorts of funny ways, because they know from the beginning that the world is weird, a strange thing, because everybody knows what it's all about, only they won't admit it. Being brought up is being taught not to admit it, as you know very well what's going on. But in order to find out once more as an adult, you have to become again as a child. So what does that involve? Means, ladies and gentlemen, would you please check your ideas and opinions at the door, all your philosophical and religious views, all your logic, music, because I say check it at the door, advises it, because you can pick it up again when you go out if you feel unsafe. Without it, music, I'm not trying to argue you out of your opinions and views. I'm merely suggesting that for the sake of an experiment with temporarily suspended in view what is, as if you didn't even know how to talk. Red is not red, blue is not blue, hard is not hard, soft is not soft, male is not male, female is not female. There is just this jazz. It will not be possible to compel yourselves into this way of looking at things, because what Buddhists call habit energy is going on, and as I talk to you, you will find yourselves thinking in a compulsive and habitual way. This is red, this is green, this is something, this is nothing, this is solid, this is space. Alright, but treat those thoughts that are going on in your head in exactly the same way as if they were maybe below sea. That's all. They are like shapes in the spray as the sea breaks on the rocks. Now please don't get agitated that this is an anti-intellectual point of view. This is undermining the value of logic and reasons. On that we will bring all that back later when we need it, but